Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're going to unpack a cognitive strategy that honestly feels a bit like a hidden mental map. We're looking at how some of the most flexible minds out there manage to navigate incredibly complex problems and do it with surprising ease. Okay, you know that feeling where you're just completely stuck in the mud on a problem? You're spinning your wheels, exhausted, while someone else just breezes right past the exact same roadblock? Well, the secret is they aren't actually thinking in words. They're thinking in concepts. And let me tell you, that one small shift completely changes how your brain processes obstacles.
Section 1. The Problem-Solving Trap. To truly understand this paradigm shift, we first have to look at why we get stuck in the first place. Here's the trap we all fall into. Most of us try to solve a problem using the exact same language of the problem itself. Think about it. If it's a business issue, you probably think purely in business terms. If it's a relationship issue, you think in emotional terms. You're trying to fix the issue using the exact same vocabulary that created it. And frankly, that just keeps you running in endless, exhausting circles without ever finding an actual way out. So, this is where mastering concept-based thinking comes in. It's basically the brain's ultimate universal problem-solving tool. Instead of getting totally bogged down in the specific vocabulary of a given field, concept-based thinkers look for the underlying architecture. They look for the hidden patterns. They pull ideas from totally unrelated fields to stop thinking in those frustrating circles, and they start thinking in layers.
Section 2. Words versus concepts. Let's break down these two completely different mindsets side by side to see how this works.
Basically, on one side, you have the standard thinker. They are essentially trapped in a box built by the specific vocabulary of a single field. But on the flip side, the concept-based thinker is hunting for the structural foundation, the underlying architecture. They're using mental models that totally transcend those boundaries, pulling in frameworks from anywhere and everywhere to just crack the code.
Section 3. The debugging example. To really ground this, let's look at a real-world software issue and see this cognitive upgrade in action.
Imagine you're trying to debug some totally broken software. The standard thinker is going to fall right into the code trap, exhaustively hunting for a tiny typo. But a concept-based thinker, they step back to identify the bottleneck. By zooming out, they can pull solutions from totally outside worlds. They might grab an idea from philosophy, or maybe from physical logistics, just to see the structure of the problem in a totally new light.
And boom, by applying an outside concept, like Occam's razor from philosophy, which is just the idea that the simplest explanation is usually the right one, or by picturing something like water flowing through a pipe, the underlying architecture becomes incredibly obvious. The solution often appears instantly because you've stopped obsessing over the specific what of the problem and finally started looking at the universal how.
Section 4. Skipping the translation. Now, let's look at the actual mechanical reason why this method is so much faster for your brain.
Well, when you think purely in words, you're actually significantly slowing down your cognitive processing speed. It is literally like trying to run a massive 4K video game on some dusty, ancient computer processor from 1998. You know what happens, right? It lags, the fans sound like a jet engine, and it takes way too much energy to get anything done.
And here is exactly why it lags. When you think in words, your brain goes through this incredibly clunky translation process. First, it has to translate an abstract idea into language. Then it has to process that language. And finally, it has to translate that language back into an action. Concept-based thinking skips this clunky multi-step translation process entirely. It's just pure, high-speed data processing. Section 5. Building concept layers. To achieve this kind of incredible processing speed, you basically need to build a mental library. You need a massive library of universal templates that you can just drop onto any situation to see if they fit. And you can get these from anywhere. Every new concept you learn, whether you're reading ancient history books, binge-watching coding tutorials, or diving into sociology studies, it all becomes a brand new layer. You take these concepts from totally unrelated fields and just use them as a filter for your current reality.
The massive takeaway here is that you've got to stop being just a specialist in one narrow little topic and start becoming a collector of concepts. When you make this one specific shift in your mental architecture, you gain the really remarkable ability to see underlying structural solutions that are completely invisible to everyone else around you.
Section 6. The Perspective Challenge. Let's wrap up today with a really practical challenge, so you can start applying this mental architecture right away.
Here is a great rule of thumb for you for this week. The next time you feel completely stuck on a problem, absolutely do not look for the answer in the same room where the problem started. Physically and mentally step away. Go for a walk. Read something totally unrelated to your field. Just give your brain the actual space to start bridging those conceptual gaps.
And while you're stepping away, ask yourself this exact question. How would a gardener, a coder, or a philosopher look at this? Use this prompt to aggressively force your brain out of its specific, limited vocabulary and push it into a universal, layered mindset. You'll honestly be amazed at how quickly the real bottleneck reveals itself.
So I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below with a concept from a hobby or a past job that actually solves a completely unrelated problem for you. Because ultimately, the world isn't broken down into neat little categories and subjects. I mean, that's just how we were taught in school. The universe operates on universal patterns. The real question is, are you going to keep staring at the words, or are you ready to finally see the architecture? If you want to keep leveling up your mental models, make sure you hit subscribe, and we'll see you in the next explainer.